I'm on my way out the door, but just as a piece of good news for you burners as you go about your day, you've been assailed. Everything from Elizabeth Warren stabbing you in the back, calling you a sexist liar. Everything from Hillary Clinton coming out saying nobody likes you. This is a massive sense of projection, no less. And all of these these slanderous things that have been coming out. Biden calling you a liar, which is fantastic since, Biden's been lying about Social Security, has been lying about cutting Medicare, has been lying about his Iraq war vote. He has been lying and is running from his own record as fast and as furious as he could possibly do so. So all of this comes at the heels of Sanders gaining ground, meaning it became clear that, oh my God, he could win this thing. And when it became clear, oh my God, he could win this thing, all of the knives came out. Now, I've made this point that I'm unclear on why Elizabeth Warren in this race. Is she in this race as a proxy in order to ding Sanders and take away support from him to allow somebody like a Joe Biden to exceed the race? Whether she's in it for that reason or not, she's working with Hillary Clinton behind the scenes. Bill Clinton expressly told Tom Perez not to let Sanders take the party. And beyond that point, we also know that there's a history of the Democratic Party telling people or trying to push people to get into various races because they are a preferred candidate. I hope you understand my point. I consider everybody in this race that is not Sanders, maybe with the exception of Tulsi, as being against Sanders and all working for the exact same team. I've never had this notion that Warren and Sanders were in this together, even if there were certain things that dovetailed in regards to the way that they were arguing a particular case. I always accepted that Sanders was a front runner. I even went so far as to accept that I thought Sanders had a better chance of winning this than anybody else in this race. We are in an interregnum. We are in a period where things are in flux, where the old order has thoroughly discredited itself. Hillary Clinton, the most status quo candidate of all candidates, the most hated woman in politics. And that's not because she's a woman, that's because she's a corrupt liar of a political figure. She loses to reality show hosts. 1,100 seats all across the United States. Loss. They failed across the board. Sanders runs again in 2020. It is impossible for me to believe that he was not going to be the front runner at the point in which he was running again. I hope you understand my point. So now we come to this particular thing. Bernie Sanders, most recent poll, CNN, takes first. Sanders takes first. Welcome to the soapbox. My name is Jamal Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support. PayPal patron. Yes, one Bernie Sanders has taken the first spot in the CNN poll. So when this poll first came out, it was the first thing I saw this morning when I checked my feed. It was the first thing I saw this morning when I checked my feed. And I said, what CNN is going to do, CNN is going to say, Biden and Sanders tops the Democratic field. I was close. So this is the poll itself, right here. New CNN national poll. Sanders, 27%. Biden, 24%. Warren, 14%, meaning nobody else is close. It's just them two. I've been saying this for months. It's just them two. To put it in perspective, in this poll, Sanders goes up 7 in this poll. Meaning between the last two polls, Sanders has gone up 7 points. Biden down 2. Warren continues her downward trend, down 2. Buttigieg, he's up 3, but who cares? He's up 3, but who cares? Now, my prediction was that CNN was going to say tops. So this is the way they ran the story. When a network is trash and has a bias, they are easy to predict. Bernie Sanders surges to join Biden atop the Democratic presidential pack. He's not joining Biden. He's past Biden. He's past them. What are you talking about joining? The way you write the story is to say Sanders surges to first in our trash network's own poll. That's what you say. Do you realize this network had gotten to the point where they put Sanders in the other category? Mind you, the other category had more votes than the other people because Sanders was leading in that particular thing. I need to find the thing to that. I'm just making the point. CNN is trash. They have a clear bias in the way that they've been operating, and even in their own trash networks poll, number one. And instead of them having the class to just say such, Sanders joins Biden. He didn't join Biden, he passed Biden. If you're going to write this honestly, Sanders surges to pass Biden in our own trash networks poll. That's the only way you write that honestly. There's something else I want to read in this, because they make the point that Warren, in regards to one of the constituencies that Sanders and Warren were vying for, has collapsed. Meaning people are starting to choose, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy. We gave her a chance. This is the guy. Sanders has made gains, and I need to head out, but I'll do this quick. Sanders has made gains nearly across the board, clearly pulling away from Warren among liberals. 33% back Sanders, while 19% support Warren, a group where the two have been running close much of the fall. Sanders has also pulled about even with Biden among voters of color. Let me repeat that. Sanders has also pulled about even with Biden among voters of color. Sanders with 30%, Biden with 27%. Now, what they're probably talking about is the Hispanic vote. Now, you may not know this. Well, you might. You watch this channel. African Americans make up about 13% of the population. I think Hispanics make up about 15%. Having babies like, hot potatoes or whatever. My point is, the constituency where African Americans vote heavily for Biden, yes, he's getting a lot of that vote. Not the youth vote, but the older vote. But Sanders is getting the Hispanic vote, which in some odd way compensates. Meaning, you have this kind of weird push and pull in the Democratic Party. First, African Americans will support Sanders to every degree that they support Biden. The only difference here is that the thought is we think he's more electable, so we're going to support him in the primary. If you get out of the primary, the same rules apply. What keeps the monsters at bay? And it's not that they're opposed to policy or anything like that. It really does boil down to the Obama legacy and who keeps the monsters at bay. We think Joe Biden is that guy, so that's the vote. If Sanders gets out the primary, this is a non-factor. He gets that vote. And in this case, he's pulling even. Listen to this. You're going to love this. As the campaign is taking a more negative turn, it hasn't taken a more negative turn. That's the catch. You're saying that. The public remains enthusiastic about a potential Sanders nomination as they were earlier this fall. Meaning for all of the propaganda that they've been putting out, for all of the attack pieces that they've been putting out, they're not buying it. They're not buying it. And because they're not buying it, despite all of that, all of the attacks, and to put this in perspective, every other candidate that rose to the spotlight and got hit with those attacks, day after day after day, one new smear to take, to pull the messaging away. Elizabeth Warren, Buttigieg, those candidates folded in the spotlight. Kamala Harris, all of them folded. And not only did he take a heart attack, not only did he take all of the smears, all of the shit that they've been saying about him, all of the stuff they've been throwing the wall against him, he's only gone up. He's only gone up. And to make this point that much more clear, to show that it's not even just CNN's poll. This is Morning Consult. Oh, and by the way, take a look at this. I love this. Look at the breakdown of what it was versus what it is now. In October, Biden 34%, Sanders 16%. In November, Biden 28%, Sanders 17%. In December, Biden 26%, Sanders 20%. Now, Biden 24%, Sanders 27%. It's hard to see it in the close-up, but over the course of time, Biden has dropped 10 points. Sanders has gone up 11. The media, CNN is not going to have a choice but to cover its own poll. So God bless. I can only imagine the shit that they're going to be saying about it in order to try to bury it. But they have no choice. And fact of the matter is, whether they cover it or not, everything that they've thrown at him, all of the nonsense that they've been pushing in this case, he's gone up 11. Your boy has gone down 10. Just to make the point that this is not just CNN's poll, Morning Consult, early state voter tracking, Sanders up 4, Biden down 1, Steyer 15%. That's fucking obscene. That's obscene. But I want you to see something though. Look at this. They're only 3 points away in early state tracking. And I've made this point before, national polls do have a tendency to lie, even though they give you some notion of a trend that's taking place in regards to the various candidates. In this very particular case, the trend is that Sanders is going up. Biden, at the very least, have leveled off or is starting to come down. The other candidates that are in the race are only pulling from Biden, with the exception of Warren, who's taking a large share from Sanders. I mean, Warren is at 12% in this poll. And even in the CNN poll, Warren was pulling in 14%. So to put this in perspective, why is Warren in this race? Again, I keep asking the question, is she in this race in order to sap away support from Sanders? Because she's doing a damn good job of it. If she was not in this race, he will be easily winning this race. But the fact that she is in this race, he's still winning with this national CNN's own network that hates him poll. And yeah, Morning Consult early states. The reason why I say national polls have a tendency to lie a bit is because what really is, this stuff is decided in the states. And depending on how a candidate performs in the various state races, it can add momentum into additional races. Meaning that a candidate that takes 3 states, well, if a candidate is living off electability, then it puts that into question, that much more focused. Or more of a focused question of whether or not this guy is really that much more electable as he's losing all of these states. You can gain a certain degree of momentum going from state to state to state. That's my point. Not to mention the media attention and everything else. The moment that people deem you to be electable and they like you that much more, you're going to win. In Sanders' case, they still consider Biden to be more electable. Which again, I keep making the point, the only reason Biden is still in this race is not because of his ideas, it's not because of his policies. He knows that, so he doesn't focus on that. I'm the guy that beats Trump. And he yells that everywhere he goes, because that's his claim to fame. Unfortunately, just like his record on Iraq, just like his record on Social Security, just like Hillary Clinton being inevitable, all of it is BS. He's the weakest candidate to put up against Trump. He has all of the defects without any of the pluses. And I understand people think he's more electable, but that's just because of the bubble that they're in and the people that they bump around, and he's just been around forever. It's not reality. Fact of the matter is, the guy that doesn't have the baggage is Sanders. The Democratic Socialist thing, don't misunderstand me, is a headwind that he's going to have to deal with. The age thing is a headwind, but all of these candidates have something that is going to be a headwind. The catch becomes, who has the most pluses? Who has the most enthusiasm? Who's bringing in the money and the people that work for him with this level of ferocity and going out trying to get this guy elected? Who has the capacity to generate a movement with this notion of trying to actually change something that the public legitimately wants? Didn't get it in Obama, damn sure didn't get it in Trump. If you're going to pick somebody, that's the guy. Like, share, subscribe. Today will be my first day at the office. We're not doing the show at the office today. Today is production stuff. And today is going to be an extremely long day. I'm not going to get back into it around 10 o'clock tonight. So I will probably not see you again until tomorrow unless we let off early and I get the chance to kind of come back here and do the news. There are several shows that I kind of want to do. So I'm going to say like, share, subscribe. And if burners are looking for good news this morning, starting the day off good. Thanks all.